Chris, Stugotz just walked into the room, but I was in here alone with your father moments ago, who was busy on the internet, but not really talking to me. He was both talking to himself and his computer. But he was talking out loud. And what he said was, woman swallowed whole by shark when swimming with friends.
Yeah.
Now, he's still talking to himself here.
Deserving of a
Of course,
Yes.
yes. He's got my interest, and it is something that I, too, might speak out loud, talking to no one if I was reading it, because it's shocking. But then the next thing he says while having a conversation with himself or his computer is, looks like my neighbor, Shelley. Shelley Quibner.
Was it Shelley?
We hope not. I'm going to check with her.
This is what he was saying. I
need to see this because I know what she looks like.
I saw the dawning realization in Greg Cody that he may have been asking or discovering whether his neighbor had been swallowed whole by a shark.
Well, if Shelley was swallowed whole, she may answer from inside the shark.
It could be. I'm going to ask McGill later if someone could survive that. Like,
How about ask your neighbor if they're alive? I mean,
I could do. I'll
Right,
wait.
yeah.
I think the odds are she's alive.
Probably.
Okay.
It's been done with whales, but
Yeah, you can live in the
Jonah.
belly of a whale.
I don't.
supposedly.
We've had
And
this
Pinocchio.
conversation with McGill before. No, you would immediately die. There would be no living inside of a whale.
No, I think there will be.
Beg to differ.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but McGill's the expert. You
Well,
can beg all you want about
he's a
differing.
photographer.
You live to beg to differ. You sometimes don't even beg. You don't.
Oh, no,
ask.
I just
You
differ.
Just
I
differ.
go straight to the differ.
You go
Yeah.
straight.
Yep.
You don't beg to differ. You differ, and you do it without apology.
It's more polite to say you beg to differ
Yeah,
than
it
to
is.
just differ immediately.
Yeah. When you say you beg to differ, though, you're not begging.
No.
Nobody's begging.
No.
Yeah, and by the way, Geppetto, Pinocchio's dad, lived in a whale. But here's the weirdest thing about this story. I'm going
my
to
dad.
I'm going to read the whole sentence. A woman who was out swimming with her friends is believed to have been swallowed whole by a 13-foot shark without any of her friends noticing. That's the weirdest part about that story. You're swimming with friends, you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden people are looking around going, "Where's Shelley?" Like nobody screamed.
Every friend group has a Shelley, though, that if they go missing because a shark ate them whole, you wouldn't notice.
classic Shelley.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. She went quietly, apparently. If I'm swallowed whole by a shark, you're going to know it.
How?
I'm going to scream my bloody...
I think it happens very quickly, Greg. I have no expertise in this realm, but I'm thinking that perhaps it happens faster than you can scream.
You yell that kind of thing or something? Like,
Hey, get away from me.
Baby.
It would be his last words. Absolutely. That kind of thing. Like, how fast do you think you are that you could, because for this to have happened quietly
Right.
is fairly amazing. For it to happen so quietly and disturbing the sea so little that your friend gets consumed by a shark without any of the other friends noticing.
Right.
I think Greg might be right that that's the most shocking part of this story, that
Yep.
that could happen quietly without a sound and that everybody would swim back to the boat or shore and they wouldn't get to land and then be like, hey, where's Shelley?
Right. I feel I would kick the shark in the snout and send it on its way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
That would work.
I'm not going to go down easily. Same with a gator. I feel like
eye poke.
Yeah, an eye poke, a kick in the snout. Supposedly you can punch. This is another good question from McGill. Supposedly you can punch a shark right in the nose, and he's so unaccustomed to being punched that he'll turn around.
No,
He'll
I think
pivot.
I've read that is the way if you ever find yourself to like kind of attack them in those vulnerable areas. But I think it's easier said than done. I don't think it's just like a little tap on the nose and they scurry away.
It's hard to punch underwader.
It is.
Kicking is easier.
Yeah, it's like slow motion.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's why people exercise in the pool. Because as fast as you walk, you're walking in slow motion.
Resistance,
That's not
yeah.
why they exercise
Yeah.
in the pool.
Sure it is.
To have
Imagine the
be in
damage you could
slow
do to a
motion.
shark on land if you punch and you got your full force into the nose. If they have that glass jaw that if you basically just barely tap it on the nose and they scurry.
Yep.
Imagine a boom, full force punch on land.
Exactly.
Real tough guy in water.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Home court advantage.
I'm scared of the sea for that reason. I don't like going on any animal turf that represents me not having the home court advantage on the food chain. I like to be the dominant dynasty favorite.
What's your home court, Dan? What animal would you fight and where?
What's my home court? Land is my home court.
Oh.
Not against a gator.
All right, thank you for differing. Go back to begging.
Plenty of other land animals. Bear.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
We will talk about Caitlin Clark in a second, Stugotz, because it seems to me a whole lot of people are enjoying watching the struggle, and because the seasons go into each other so quickly, it feels like Caitlin Clark didn't get to enjoy that very long before it became a thing that now has an uncommon amount of weight on it because she's joined a bad team and she's playing against good teams, and it's hard. But before we get to that, I just want to ask you something because I have just can't help but notice how much the media industry is shaking. Like just that things are battering the media industry and the sports media industry. And so every morning I get up and when I'm checking X, I'm getting what looks like artificial intelligence. Like the first paragraph I see when I'm scanning through things, it looks like AI has just collected, hey, here's what sports fans were talking about last night. I don't think this was written by a human being. I think this is written by a computer. But I want to ask you about what it says. Fans slam ESPN's NHL playoff coverage. On May 21st, 2024, social media users expressed dissatisfaction with ESPN's NHL playoff coverage, criticizing issues such as audio-video synchronization problems, poor camera angles, and a perceived lack of focus on the game itself. Many users compared ESPN's coverage unfavorably to TNT's, which was praised for its superior quality. The criticism also extended to ESPN's broader approach to sports broadcasting, suggesting a focus on its own brand over the games. Users called for ESPN to improve its coverage or for the NHL to reconsider its broadcasting partnership with the network. Again, have no idea and don't have no idea if it was written by a human being and don't think that it was. But the thing that I wanted to ask you and Greg Cody today, as we're coming off of Stephen A. Smith and the New York Knicks dominating the Game 7 coverage in a way that was New York-centric and made people upset, Stugotz. Whether you care about it or not, it bothered people to watch a network get rid of anything that would even resemble the illusion of objectivity and just start rah-rahing for the Knicks. And we're entering a new broadcast time, Stugotz, where ESPN doesn't just get to be the dominant thing without competition. The competition is a bunch of individual brands, and ESPN has to evolve into the modern age of how to cover stuff. And they tend to go brand. And they tend to go and reward right now, they've always avoided this, personalities. And so it stops being about the game and it starts being about Stephen A. Smith talking on the entire network about whether he would score a basket against LeBron James if they were playing to 100 points and Stephen A. Smith was up 99-0. They covered across the network and then people get mad because there are other places they could go to get something that feels more nutritious than that. So what do you two make of this? Because I know Greg Cody has a legitimate problem, Stugotz, with the amount of information that he's getting. He doesn't want more information. He wants glossy coverage of sports. What is it that you're objecting to in baseball? What is the statistic that you don't like or the tracking that you don't like now?
Yeah, it's like StatCast bat index.
Like
or
how
something.
hard the ball comes off the bat and stuff like that.
I just don't need
Who
to know
needs
that.
it? Right.
If it's a line drive in the gap, I know it was hit pretty hard.
Right.
I don't need to know exactly how many miles per hour it is.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Yes.
Here's a launch angle, line drive, fly ball, home run.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Ground ball.
Ground
Bunt.
ball, bunt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Those are the angles.
Not that anybody bunts anymore. I think when you bunt, I think when you reach base on a bunt, you should get to take third.
Really?
Yeah, that's how
that.
rare
2
bunts
extra
are.
bases.
Yeah,
Huh?
Yeah.
I like
think
that.
so.
What if you advance a runner to second? Do you skip them?
I hadn't thought that far ahead. I gotta
think about
brainstorm.
it.
I gotta
Yeah.
workshop that one.
Yeah.
So what my Tuesdays tend to be like is intellect, less is more. Information, less is more. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. When it comes to information and intellect, is less more? Because what Greg Cody and Stugotz are advocating for is we get to dominate the media knowing nothing. We don't want to learn anything else. We have enough. We're at capacity. What we know is the most that there is to know, and we do not need any more information to do our jobs poorly.
Correct.
Why amass so much knowledge? You can't take it with you when you're gone.
That's correct. You got to be selective. You know, the human brain can only store so much.
That's
right.
And I challenge Le Batard to tell me what is the value in knowing how fast the ball has left the bat.
You know how hard people are hitting a baseball, and it takes some of the randomness out of whether you're getting a bloop. If you hit the ball well, the result doesn't necessarily matter. If you hit it 110 miles an hour and it just happens to catch the third baseman's glove, you're out, but it doesn't mean that you had a poor at bat.
What if we just measured it in Greg's measurements of pretty hard, not that hard, really hard? I think that might be helpful instead of numbers.
Yes.
What about placement? How about that?
Yeah.
Like, take a little off the swing speed and place it in a place that it's not going to get caught. How's that sound?
Okay, excellent. Yes, you should play baseball with a spatula because you're so good at it. You can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball into left field, just drop it in there because you're so good at sports.
The way Tony Gwynn did it, the way Wade Boggs used to do it.
Mr.
That's all I'm
Padre,
saying.
yeah.
I can't do it, but they could.
Hitters used to be craftsmen.
Yeah,
They
that's
used to
right.
craft the ball.
yes.
You
Just
know,
swing as hard as you can now and hope to make contact.
Exactly.
Oh.
And the problem is Le Batard over here, he would rather hit a 100-mile-an-hour line out than a beautiful Texas leaguer that's soft, drops softly over the
Seeing
second
eye
baseman.
single.
Love it.
Yes.
Texas leaguer.
Thank you.
I mean, Dan, think about it, because you get rewarded.
You don't want to think about it.
Well, I want
That's
you to
what this
think about
whole-
it. I
Yeah,
don't
but
want to
you-
think
you
about
don't
it.
want
Right.
to think about
No,
it.
you
But
just
I
think
want
about
you to
it
think
now,
about it,
and then the
right.
thinking's done during the
I-
game.
but-
Imagine the pace of baseball, how quickly it would be if we weren't clicking our calculators the whole time trying to figure everything out.
Right.
Your team has been mismanaged for years by the others who are doing all of this stuff better than
Hottest team of baseball
your
right now.
team. Well, I want to ask you something because I brought you a couple of gifts here that I want to ask you
So
about.
nice.
Yes.
Bearing
Not
gifts.
even my birthday.
You are a collector. You are
wrapped it, too.
You are a hoarder, and you are somebody who I was wondering whether you would want some of the things that I have here.
I'm a curator.
So,
of collections.
what do you imagine that this is worth right here? I've got a Florida Marlins inaugural season, and I was there for the last homestand, Marlins versus the Mets, and it's an engraved cent. Not a smell.
Cent?
Not a smell. It's a penny.
Oh, like that you used to put in like
Oh,
those
a pen.
machines?
Coin.
I love those machines.
You mean coin?
Yeah.
Yes, a coin.
Not like Bitcoin, though.
a
That's
co-
an actual coin.
but a
You
coin
can
that
touch
looks
that?
like a penny.
A bitty coin. It's tiny.
Flattened. Not even a cent.
Wow, look at that
Can't
thing.
use it.
Yeah.
Do you think this is? Do you even want this? Would you want this, or would you
Sure.
not want this?
No,
Is
that
it-
looks nice. I wonder if it's a crime, though. I don't think you can deface money.
How
Ooh, look at
about?
this.
I don't think it's an
Wow.
actual penny, and I don't think it's a
Wow.
crime.
The
either.
sticker is still on
Look at
that thing. I
oh
mean,
my God! Did you
wow.
highlight that?
I did not highlight anything. It is.
Oh,
it is a sweat stain, a yellow sweat stain from the armpit, or just the coloring of the newspaper.
It's a
and
large shirt.
it's a newspaper column that I wrote.
Yeah.
Do you want this?
Did you make that?
I didn't make the
Well,
T-shirt.
it's you.
No.
You did?
It's a T-shirt of you. Your face is on
No.
it.
Yeah,
Someone made them?
For you?
If we
Yeah,
have no
Marlins
takers, I
giveaway.
will take.
Okay, I'll
What
take
I
it.
saw some.
Hold on a second.
what a coincidence. that
Juju,
Dan
it's all
would,
yours.
Wait a minute.
It's all, no, I
Hold
took it
on.
back.
Wait
No, you
a
were too
tick.
slow, Juju. It's all
Hey,
yours.
You can't take
Can you
away
sign
gifts.
it?
Who wants the penny?
No gives, he's
Does-
back.
does
I'll
anyone
take the
want
penny. I'll
Excuse
take it.
me.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cody.
Brad
Penny
Penny.
Rose wants the penny.
All right. Where's the shirt with my column on it?
Brad Penny.
Oh,
This
I
is-
like it.
This is what he
Brad Penny. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. I
Penny
like-
Hardaway.
6 seconds
like
later,
that.
he
That's right.
registers.
Less is more, Chris. Less is more. The bad joke, he catches it 6 minutes later, and he's like, Brad Penny, oh, it's too
Oh,
bad
good
I
one."
didn't get to that.
Because he was a pitcher for the Marlins, and it was an actual penny.
Perfect.
Get it?
Yeah.
Getting back to what it
Went
is
over
that
his
I
head.
was saying at the origin of the conversation,
Yes.
I want to ask you guys what you want from your coverage. Like, I'm legitimately asking this, understanding that there is no consensus. I will remind people that Shitstain and his army made a lot of money off of criticizing ESPN before it was fashionable. Okay, now it's very easy to criticize ESPN. They've been dominant for a really long time, and they're not going to give up that dominance. There have been no real challengers, but now the entire internet is working against the established entity. And my question to you guys is, because it looks like you're about to lose the greatest sports studio show there has ever been. I don't know how and when that's going to get saved in a way that makes it so that we get to keep consuming what Barkley and Shaq and Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith are doing, which is the new form of what's popular. We'll give you 5 or 6 hours with funny people you like to hang out with. The comedians have stolen the radio space, Stugotz. They just do radio shows with each other, and now it's Louis C.K. and Andrew Schultz, and they fill arenas because it's getting that aggressive in the spaces where people compete for your attention.
Right.
And ESPN has had a lead here for a long time, and people are criticizing from every angle now. And I'm asking you guys, what do you want from ESPN? Because they're moving out of journalism. That's been the case for a while. And you saw nothing on Sunday that indicated anything that resembled objectivity. That ABC, Disney, and ESPN conspired to give you something New York-centric that was brazen for ratings. I don't blame them, but what do you want?
I want the games. What happens before the games? What happens after the games? I know people care about that stuff, Dan. I don't. I want the games. ESPN has the games. Therefore, I go to ESPN to watch the games. If Stephen A. Smith wants to make it about Stephen A. Smith before the game, God bless him. If he wants to do it after the game, God bless him. If everyone wants to be a fan and stop being a journalist, great. I arrived there 10 years ago. Welcome to the party, okay? That's what I want. I want the games, and they give me the games.
Okay, but around all the games, there are things that are being complained about that represent our industry. The games are easy, Stugotz.
Right.
Anybody who's got the games gets numbers. That part is easy, and that part you want. But all around it, there are people talking and covering those games. And I will ask you again, you don't want any information, entertainment, nothing. You just want games, games, games. You've checked out on all of the talking around sports.
I mean, I love a good pregame show. I love what, Ernie and Shaq and Charles and Kenny do on TNT. I love College Game Day. I love that stuff because it's entertaining. So go ahead, entertain me. Like, I might watch your pregame show. I
But
might
that's
not.
that's-
Sometimes it's on. Sometimes it's not.
The definition
Dan.
for that is not the same for everybody. Entertainment in sports, it's not the same, and it's changing.
I understand that, but the only thing I'm taking seriously are the actual games. I'm not taking anything seriously on the front end or the back end.
Fandom bleeding into these broadcasts doesn't bother me one bit, but I don't come from journalism. Like, I could see it bothering my dad and Dan more than it bothers me. For me, Stephen A. going crazy with Spike Lee is just more entertaining, so I'm cool with it.
I'm not the one who's complaining about this. I'm waking up to the complaints. They're not mine. They might be artificially generated, but somebody's complaining about coverage.
Why do you think the complaints are bad, though? I mean, I want to complain about this coverage. I want to complain that the announcers and broadcasters hate my team. I want to complain about everything involving the media. And Twitter's just complaints. Like, that's all you're going to find there about anything. Like,
So what do you want?
I want to complain. That's what I want.
And in your coverage, what do you want?
I just want to watch the game, and then I want to hate the broadcasters because that's part of the fun. That's sports. You see them saying something that you disagree with, and you're like, this person is a such and such, and I don't want to hear them say this about that.
I need to know who's hurt, Who is an ankle lingering? Is someone probable?
Gambling
versus
info.
Out? It's Zagak. I don't give a damn. You can cheer for the Knicks all you want to.
Right.
Salute. Who's hurt though? Is Miles McBride starting? Because if so, 13.5 seems delicious.
Don't get me started on the WNBA fantasy and how we don't get proper injury reports on any of those players ever.
Talk about it.
It's insane.
How's that league going?
Oh, I'm dominating.
No, I'm not in that league, by the way. I'm in the Underdogs and Friends League. Salute to the Underdogs, Jordan Brenner and Peter Keating.
We seem to have somehow created 2 WNBA fantasy leagues because the first one was such a disaster. And now there's a faction. Is that right, Juju?
Yeah, it was the real one the entire time. Rose started her own thing out there in the lobby, and we was like, we're going to have dibs. And Dan has that look in his eyes, so let's get off of this topic
To tie
now.
things back.
I mean, it's a
Juju.
it's a nightmare for me. Okay, the metastasis,
Metastacism.
Tough one.
of.
I got you.
Thank you. I have cared so little about Greg Cody's fantasy league for 15 years, and it's all he wants to talk about. And now all of your self-involvements are such that you guys can't shut up about your fantasy leagues. Like Billy, all Billy cares about, it's the only thing I see him care about here at work is the fantasy league with Rose that he's doing. And while you guys are endlessly entertained by your narcissism, I don't think that the audience wants that.
That was a natural progression to the conversation. You
Yes.
say, what do you want to talk about? We want injury reports. Why do we want injury reports? Because of fantasy. And also because of gambling.
And also, too, it is right, brother. Like, if the NFL has a toe injury, they got that information up within seconds. Yeah. These sisters are getting ready in the layup line, and they still got an O by their name. That's egregious. Yeah. Get it together, bro. Show these women the same respect as y'all show the second string tight end for the damn Bills. Yeah.
I think most people, Dan, want to be entertained and they want to be informed on the things that matter to them. And so, like, College Game Day does a great job where you're getting your information and then they go to Pete Thamel and he's telling you who's playing, who's not playing. And so I think that's what people, for the most part, I think that's what people want. Entertain me, give me the information from credible people, information that I care about.
Well, but let's talk about what it is that Juju's saying there. Does it not stand to reason that if the coverage of women's sports is bad in every way because men are trying to figure out how to cover something they haven't been paying attention to for a long time, and these industries are dominated by male executives, if all of that is so, doesn't it stand to reason that there would be some gambling advantages in having more information about what the game results might, that you'd have more room to maneuver in a space where people are more ignorant because you'd have the ability to be more informed than others with inside information, because the information that's out there isn't covered. It isn't covered by enough people, enough resources so that it's as comprehensive as the way that your Sundays are.
Right, and to your point, the women's coverage, the broadcast team actually is phenomenal. They got the Shanae and they got Drea. They got a great team as far as no bias, no necessary. They play for teams. Her sister played for the Storm. She ain't biased, and it's a great a product. You feel me? But they need to take that energy and still keep it with the fantasy sports, because I'm in leagues with nothing but women. You feel me? And they like, whoa, I thought she was out tonight. That's misleading. I see all my brothers having fun. Let's let these sisters have some fun too.
I really like the pre and post game show on ESPN2 for the WNBA because I feel like the team has a lot of chemistry and they're doing like a great combination of information, breaking down plays, breaking down highlights, but also having fun and like joking around with one another. And I think that is something that I've heard a lot of complaints about ESPN's NBA coverage lacking, is just that there's not a lot of chemistry on the desk. And they just can't seem to get the formula right in terms of entertainment.
They've been doing it for a long time, and I've told you
breakdowns.
before, that Adam Silver has never been happy with what counter programs on ESPN as the studio show. He liked what The Jump was doing, but he didn't like the combinations because there's not enough room to move. The TNT guys have so much space.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they enjoy each other's company, which is so rare in television, where it's not a chuckle fest. It's Shaq getting legitimately mad because Barkley's making fun of how Hakeem cooked him 25 years ago. And with the producers, they're then playing highlights of Hakeem shaking Shaq, and he's getting pissed off.
Dream shaking.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's a fine. $2.
Wow, $12.
No. It's
$2
No,
at least.
I don't. How does how what? How did
Hakeem shaking? I mean,
Yeah, that's a bad
how
phrase.
You
did
got it wrong. Yeah.
I did get it wrong, but how did it go from $2 to $12?
Inflation, Dano. It's a
That's
new
right.
country since 2015 when y'all started these
right.
fines.
Price of eggs go
Starbucks-
up, so do fines.
Exactly. A coffee is $12, so we
Thank
need that
you.
12
Yeah.
I saw that both Target and McDonald's are now going to stop their price gouging because Americans have had enough. So Target has 5,000 items that are just normal goods that they're going to knock down the price on just because people are totally fed up with how expensive things have gotten.
The crazy thing is, Target was like the affordable option. So if Target's doing this is great news.
Not in my hood. Target is up there with Neiman and Marcus.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Target, huh?
Salute to Kroger. I salute all my Kroger individuals out there. I see y'all, and I love y'all.
Juju, down here, Publix is like the Whole Foods of the
Insane.
rest of the country. It
Insane
is so
Publix.
expensive.
If Target is lowering their prices, it's not because of altruism. They're doing it because of competition. Nowadays, you can go online and buy a new pair of shoes for $2.99. They won't be good shoes, but
you can have them.
The prices are super cheap now.
Right.
It's super cheap.
But if you're Target and you're doing it, you have to say because you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart, right?
Yeah, you have to.
I think you're getting confused by Temu ads.
Chris, why are you
That's
shaking your
one of
head
the
at your
exact-
father?
I just don't know what he's talking about with shoes being $2 nowadays. Like shoes have never been more expensive in my
Okay,
life.
I bought a fedora for like $2.99.
Really?
I bought a pair of rubber clown ears
For a
for like
costume?
$2.
So you're just buying the first thing Amazon throws you when you're looking for something. Your Amazon shopping is just you're doing it the way the college kids are doing it that are on ramen noodles. You're the first thing that pops up, you're buying it no matter how cheap it is.
Here's the truth of the matter. Target and other retailers, anything you can buy at Target, I can buy cheaper through Amazon.
And
I'm
crappier.
I'm not saying it'll be better.
No,
Right.
it won't be better, but you don't care about quality.
Oh, I care about quality.
You are buying things off the internet that are shoes for $2 that you wear for 40 years.
Well, if the
good
shoe
value.
fits,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. What's wrong with that? Price gouging. I mean, if I can get it cheap, I will.
But do you care about quality? Because I don't believe that if I present to you, you can either have it cheap or you can either have it be good. You can't have both. You're going to constantly choose cheap.
Okay, I'm not a label hound. I don't need a Louis Vuitton purse. Okay.
What kind of purse do you need, big bro?
That's a great question.
You know what?
Juju.
Just a run of the mill. What's a no-name purse?
Well, it doesn't have a name, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Give me a purse without a name on it. I don't need initials. I want an anonymous purse.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And it comes cheap. And when it wears out, if there's holes in the soles of my shoes, I buy another pair of shoes for $2.
Greg, I don't want your opinion on this because you're legitimately one of the cheapest people I have ever met.
Well, you always
Yeah.
say that, but you don't mean it.
Yeah, you don't mean it.
No.
You don't mean
Chris,
that.
you are his son. You have been his son for a long time. How often are you
His
embarrassed?
whole life, some say.
He tried to break a $5 bill the other day to tip a valet.
Well, what's
love
wrong with
it.
that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be ashamed of that?
Them's the breaks.
Okay, how much time is
Here we
that
go.
valet spending getting my car?
Probably
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. So if I give him $3, what is that per hour rate? Okay.
You feel good about this argument?
12 times 3, I'm giving him $36 an hour. That's not bad.
To spend 10 minutes in your car.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And who knows what he's pilfering
Oh,
he's
God.
from the glove box.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. I trust valets. I do.
You don't.
You never want a valet.
I don't like to valet
He
my car.
tries
I
to
really
avoid
don't.
valet.
Yeah.
But you trust them.
Was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off? You feel like that's going to happen with your car?
Well, we always take my wife's car because she's terrified to get in my car. So I don't mind that on behalf of her car. I just, I like a parking spot. When I pull up to a golf club, I like to self-park, carry my bag. I don't like to valet. I don't know about the valet industry, but they got the world by the balls. You can't go anywhere now and not valet.
He's right.
I'm surprised I don't have to valet park when I go to Publix. Just let me self-park.
We're getting there with Publix.
Self-parking is dying.
You love to back into a spot, don't you?
No.
Really?
I'm anti-backing
I figured
in.
you would like to get right out of there.
No, I give a long stare to a driver who holds me up in a parking lot by backing in. The only people who should be backing into a parking spot are people fixing to rob a bank, and they need a quick getaway.
Right.
That I see. Plus, it obscures the license plate. So, the eyewitness makes it tougher.
But imagine if that was the rule. You'd know exactly who the bank
put
robbers
them all
were. Then
on
they'd
the
park
poll,
forward.
please. Does the valet industry have us all by the balls? Do you trust valets? And is the key to a good bank robbery backing into your spot? Stugotz, I want to ask you about a person in sports who's going to engender very little sympathy, very little compassion. The last few years of this person's public life have seemed to be a real disintegration. Antonio Brown went from the best receiver in football to somebody who took a hit in a game that years from now, when we go through science, we're going to be able to like pinpoint, oh, that's what exacerbated CTE.
Right.
His public meltdown has been something that seems like it could be tied to football fairly easily and fairly overtly, to not excuse any of what it is that he's done. But we're going to know more about it in years. And today he declared for bankruptcy, or yesterday he declared for bankruptcy, and it actually hurt me on his behalf because of what life's going to be now when you've grown used to having all of the money and power in the world, and now you enter a phase of your life where you're not going to be able to recoup that anywhere, and your reputation is in tatters, and you don't seem mentally stable in any way. And I don't think there's going to be very much compassion for Antonio Brown, but having known that his story began in Miami, homeless, and this is not a place to not have a home. His journey to the top of sports was fairly amazing to watch because it didn't come through the big schools and it didn't come with a lot of support. So he got to adulthood and fame and money at a time he couldn't handle it. And I don't want to make him a victim here, because the stuff that he's done is really bad. Like, it's not just publicly embarrassing, it's stuff that has hurt people. And yet I found myself feeling bad for him when I saw the declaration of bankruptcy, because I'm like, he's not going to be able to get his finances in order the rest of his life in a way that allow him to fix the fact that all of it's been thrown away.
He made $88 million during his career, and he's filing for bankruptcy. I do feel bad for Antonio Brown, because it's the unknown that you feel bad about. It's what did football do to Antonio Brown? How did it impact his life, his career, all the crazy things he's done over the last few years? You do wonder, I'm not excusing it, but you're left to wonder how football impacts that.
It's a long list of things. Perhaps you could get us that list of things, because I don't want to skate past what has been some very bad behavior that's going to make most of the people listening to this, I don't think it's the minority, I think it's going to be most of them, don't care, threw it all away, moron, another guy who had all of the things I dream about having and couldn't figure out a way to handle it. I'm guessing that he engenders very little in the way of compassion.
If I had the opportunity to play in the NFL, I do this all the time. I'm guilty of it as well, but this is what fans do. And I made $88 million. I would never squander that opportunity. But you don't know, because you don't know what football does to your body and your brain.
Yeah, I feel bad for Antonio Brown as well. But when you mentioned $88 million in career earnings, that is the reason why he'll get no sympathy from most people. I worry about his mental health. I worry about what he might be driven to do next. But I also think in this day and age that the fact that he's controversial, the fact that he's had all of these episodes, there's a lot of podcasts out there who are going to say, Antonio,
I don't think he's
you want to come on?
Greg, do you want to come on is one thing. Pay you to come on? Make it profitable? No. Exploit you? Sure. He doesn't have a career in front of him. He does not have a media career being controversial. He's tried the music career. He's been on, he's done some work with It Is What It Is, right? Like that Cameron and Mace have had him on fairly regularly.
He could have had a media career. He decided not to. Probably.
That day's over, though.
That day's over
whatever
for him,
that,
I think, yes.
And so I ask the audience this question, because there are so many people in his rearview mirror who are actual victims. So I understand why anything that sounds like we're espousing victimhood for him might land wrong, because people don't want to see the humanity in that sport when it gets damaged that way and have to reconcile with what it is that we're doing on Sundays, where Vontaze Burfict took pride in doing that.
Yeah.
That's something at the time. Vontaze Burfict.
In his defense, a lot of guys do, Dan.
But yes, right. Agreed. But more than most, Burfict was saying, I hate the Steelers, and that's what I was trying to do. I was not following the rules, don't care about your safety. Vontaze Burfict has publicly said, that is something I was trying to administer. It's something I'm proud to have administered. And within the context of that environment, I ask you, what does football do to these people?
I think why it's hard to feel for my dog is because he's on top of the heinous crimes he was accused of and the child support and all the stuff that he's been locked up for, throwing rocks and all the stuff. His regular internet personality right now is still attacking everybody. So-and-so bleep of the day. You know what I mean? It's like he's still antagonizing Tom Brady, posting pictures of Giselle. At a certain point, you wear out your welcome with us. Like you can do your thing, but when it comes to sympathy, I'm pretty sure ain't nobody got no sympathy for me if I do all that.
All right, well,
it's hard to have it.
Let me ask you guys this question then. Just out of curiosity, since DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love brought it to everybody, they brought it to a predominantly male audience and brought a conversation that men don't talk about to a male audience. When we talk about Ray Rice or Diddy and we say, well, what do you think domestic abuse looked like? You've been reading about it for years. What do you think mental illness looks like? Like, what are the things I have to put in front of you for you to say, oh, Antonio Brown, there's a lot of stuff there. I don't want to say that everyone who is mentally ill is this kind of mentally ill, but what do I have to put in front of you for you guys? Like, I'll give you my personal example. I didn't know when I was in it. It was 20 years ago. Ricky Williams retires. He's living in a tent in Australia. I didn't know. I didn't understand that what was happening there was, okay, that must be something happened there that I don't have knowledge and information about, even though I'm really close to it. I had it happen with my brother, Stugotz. Right. My brother.
Yeah.
Toward the end of his life, my brother, who I love and I know, we were dealing with spiraling stuff that I didn't recognize. And it's in my brother's body. And so I'm ill-equipped. I'm like, well, what is this? I love this person. I don't recognize this person. What is this? Where does the sickness start and the asshole begins? Like, because my brother had some arrogant streak. So, and I don't recognize it. So I ask you guys innocently, don't make it Antonio Brown. Give me an example from now in sports. What do you think it looks like when people are talking about the despair at the bottom of the well? Because if I had to nominate somebody from sports right now on exhibiting the behavior that seems out of control and extreme and not just athlete stereotype immaturity or athlete stereotype recklessness, that there might be something else in play, I just ask you again and again, what do you think it looks like?
I think it looks like Antonio Brown. I don't think you go from $88 million to bankruptcy unless your life is full of terrible decision-making. And I don't know whether it's CTE or not. You don't associate CTE typically with the wide receiver position, but it well could be. But some sort of a mental illness has to be involved here. It just has
Jason
to be.
Kelsey says he can virtually guarantee us he has CTE. He's going into his next phase of his career saying he can virtually guarantee that he himself has CTE.
But I think the NFL, the collisions, they impact everyone differently. So you're right about Jason Kelsey. He has said that. But Billy and I spend, 20, 30 minutes every week with Mike Golick on God Bless Football, and he said that football did not impact his health, mental or physical. Yes, he has a limp. Yes, there are things, but Mike Golick looks great and feels great. And so I think everyone's kind of different in terms of how football impacts them.
I think it comes to genetics. Like last summer, we looked at a brother from the Charlotte Hornets, Kai Jones. His streak of activity seemed as though something was wrong, but then he got the proper help, and he accredits the NBA PA for giving him the help he needs. So I think when it comes to mental health, it's the genetics, and it's so many different chemicals that go to who you are and your biology that it's kind of tough to detect in some people.
I should say off the top end here, because I really don't want to turn this into Antonio Brown as victim. The domestic assault allegations and the sexual assault allegations against him are serious ones. I'm talking about now he goes bankrupt, and the life, you have seen whatever it was that was gained financially from football. The report, the news is that has now been squandered. And I'm saying once all of that arrives, his life as he knew it is now over, and the consequences that are coming for all of those actions are about to bury him. He will never get to live the life that he used to live. That has been squandered.
And do we know that, though? Because, like, Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy.
That's
50
what I'm about to say.
Cent
50
declared
Cent. That's what I'm
bankruptcy.
saying.
Burt Reynolds declared bankruptcy. Like, Donald Trump declared bankruptcy. There's plenty of celebrities who have declared bankruptcy
Right.
and
Just to get the
seemingly
folks off their
haven't
ass.
changed their lifestyle in any way whatsoever.
Right, it's a new season of Power coming up. You would never walk up to 50 Cent right now and say you can't do what you used to do. You wouldn't call that man broke. 50 claimed bankruptcy like years and years ago. So I feel like this may be just something that is necessary for whatever financial shit he's trying to stay out of.
I agree that I don't think bankruptcy ends one's hope and future. And I'm sort of surprised to hear you say that in the content age that Antonio Brown cannot be redeemed.
He's not
cannot be
employable.
rehabilitated.
He's not employed. The crimes are too serious. The allegations are too serious.
It seems that way to. I understand, but you say he tried rap. No. He didn't try rap. He started a phenomenon that went around the world. Put that shit on is being said by random people now. It's like, it seems bleak to the, I don't, no disrespect to your generation, but to us, this seems regular, bro. He probably owe somebody some money. I ain't got it, I'm bankrupt, and still living the same life he been living. I don't see what you see.
You guys think he's going to be fine financially by just hiding behind
They think he is fine.
The legal veneer. You guys evidently didn't see MTV Cribs and don't know what local real estate costs are on taxes. He will not be able to keep living the same lifestyle with the bubble of protection that bankruptcy affords him.
It's not that. It's not a death sentence, which is what you're kind of making it out to be.
No, it's not a death sentence. He's not going to die.
Well, he will.
But the
identity
he used to have, that's gone, and it's gone forever.
He killed that himself, though.
Yep. Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. When you say you beg to differ, are you eager to differ?
I'm not.
I believe you are. I believe you cloak it. I believe it's your mask. It's your disguise. I believe your beg to differ is your knight's armor to pretend and appear polite when you live to differ.
He's actually begging to differ.
I don't like that assessment. It's hard for me to wear a mask, Dan. I wear glasses already.
You wear your glasses over your mask, and your mask conceals an evil anarchy that you embrace wholeheartedly. You like nothing more than to differ, I would say.
That's one person's take, I suppose. Not mine. Not the way I see it. I'm the hero of my narrative.
What do you guys think of Bryce Harper getting involved with his high school son's prom? Because we have some video of...
I don't think he has a high school
Bryce
son.
Harper has a son in high school.
That's
Is
hard to
this
believe.
a fact?
We're going to have to look this up.
I think it was just a fan he was doing
it wasn't?
it with.
I thought it was his son. And why would you say, do you think, how old is Bryce Harper now? He's 30?
He got to be 22.
Okay.
He's
12?
31.
12
In
years
high
old,
school,
father?
17. He had a kid when he was 14.
I mean, he was dropping bombs at 14, so.
He was. I did think it was his son. Okay, so that makes it much different. I did think it was his son. It was just somebody he was doing a favor for, who needed to make sure that he got a yes. So he brought in Bryce Harper.
His son would also have to be like 17 or 18 because only juniors and seniors go to prom. So that
I'm
was.
seeing a headline. He helps a New Jersey high school student with prom proposal.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought
Not
it was
his kid,
son,
just a
right?
kid,
Yeah, well,
right,
it's
yeah.
totally different.
It's kind of weird.
It's a totally different.
It's honestly better. If it's your kid, it's too
I
like
know.
helicopter parody.
Agreed. but
Bryce
that's-
Harper in his spare time plays Cupid for high schoolers? Like, oh,
That
I don't know
is
about
Juju
that.
Smith-Schuster doing this a couple years ago too. With they had the bomb suits, him and that boy. Yeah, salute.
That is why I recoiled, because my information was bad in thinking, not doing the math on how he wouldn't be old enough to have a high school age child. Someone who is those Stugotz is LeBron James, and I thought some betting odds I saw were interesting in that the most money that's being put on someone being drafted number one overall is being put on Bronny James, where Las Vegas tells you the money is. And the reason for that is because the odds are 200 to 1 that he gets drafted first. But the reason you would draft him first is now overt. It's because you think LeBron James is better than whoever the number one pick in the draft is. And I don't think you'd be wrong about that when you've got Ryan Russillo and others saying, would you trade the number one pick for Duncan Robinson this year? Because it's such a weak class.
Let me be clear. LeBron James is going to be better for the next 2 or 3 years than anyone you could draft in the first round. So if you were to trade up to get Bronny with the number one overall pick, it seems ridiculous. Also a very cool thing for a father to do because he still has the leverage to do it. But if you have the opportunity to do it and draft Bronny and therefore get LeBron James, that would be a smart move by that team, I think.
This would be the draft to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no Wembanyama in this draft.
Correct. Yes.
I mean, this is like it's about as bad as a draft gets.
I think the number one projected guy is from France. It's just funny that you said that specifically. There's no Wembanyama.
Just because your
Right.
French don't make you Wemby, brother. You feel
That's
me?
right.
But and if you the Hawks right now, brother, liquidly, this makes sense. Look at all the jerseys you can sell. Look, you can talk to LeBron anytime you want to. Who you gonna take? Klingon?
It has to be a team that LeBron thinks is close to winning a championship. He's not just going to Atlanta. And Atlanta should know that, and they should trade that pick for as many picks as they can get.
All right, before we do all of this, you mentioned Wembanyama. Did you guys see what he spent his first paycheck on? Because it was fairly funny, and it reminds you that even though these appear to be armored adults in muscles, they are children. A Lego Millennium Falcon.
Really?
Those are expensive. Yeah.
They are expensive.
Wow.
Lego.
I've always wondered, like, what do you do with it once you're done?
You did this right here.
Yeah, that's what you do. You're right.
That is what you do. That is exactly what
I
you
guess
do.
he's
Those
rich
exact
enough
sounds,
he has
yes.
his own room for it. Like I want like the Lord of the Rings ones, but then I'm like, well, what do I
a lot of
do with
space.
it?
It eats a lot of
where am I-
space.
It's gonna take up my whole apartment.
It's only $850.
Huh.
I was thinking,
That's
I don't
a
know
lot
why.
for Legos.
Only?
That's
I'm
a
just
lot
saying.
for
I,
Legos.
Legos are surprisingly expensive.
For Wemby, though?
The
I
way
mean-
you pinned it as like his first purchase, I was thinking this was going to be like tens of thousands
No, it wasn't
of
a
dollars.
real Millennium
Chris,
Falcon.
let me borrow like $50 from you.
Wait, I really wish we had done Prices Right with this. What did you think it was going to cost?
I'm thinking it's like a life-size Millennium Falcon thing.
You think it costs as much as like a car?
Like from the movie?
You guys don't. You
Like
know, I could
an actual
buy
spaceship?
I could find probably a dozen things for thousands of dollars that are Star Wars related right now. Like I think under $1,000 is cheap actually for this.
It is. I thought you meant a bird.
Hold
Greg,
on.
you
When
buy
you said
$2
Millennium
shoes.
I know, but it's true. But $850 for a
bird,
for
yeah.
a toy. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, you don't want to spend that much.
So you
money.
thought he was buying a bird. You thought he was buying an actual spaceship made out of Legos.
I thought it was like a life-size one that he could like walk in.
Let me start again.
I like it here.
That's fine. I'm going to start again so you could spend more time here. I know you beg to differ. We've established that. I know where you like it, Billy. I'm very well aware. It's where I don't like it.
Why? Try it out.
Opposites attract.
The Lego Millennium Falcon that he bought, he was asked the cliche question of, did you make any big purchases with your first check? And instead of saying a home or a car, he said he bought the Lego Millennium Falcon. I do believe that we should put these things on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are Legos surprisingly expensive? And once you've put together the Lego Millennium Falcon, is that now furniture in your house? Is it a furniture decoration in your house? Because that is something that's going to take up some space. Stugotz, I wanted to ask you this question about the Miami Heat based on something we didn't cover yesterday regarding the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, it can be argued successfully, as we sit here today, are coming off the biggest victory they've had in their franchise's history. The single most important thing to have ever happened to the Timberwolves, even though they made a Western Conference final with Kevin Garnett. We can make the argument because you beat the three-time MVP, you won on the road, it's Game 7. It's the most memorable thing a Timberwolves team has done.
You beat the champs.
To get to this round.
Right.
You people complaining about where the Miami Heat have been the last 5 years, when they've gotten to a place that is further again and again than a franchise that has been around a quarter of a century, you should take some inventory on how difficult it is sometimes to get to these places when franchises go through several eras of playing. And we just witnessed what can be argued is the greatest victory in the history of Minnesota basketball post, when they were the Minneapolis Lakers and whatever was happening around when George Mikan was running around. I don't know. I don't know what the hell was happening when George Mikan was running around.
Well, Greg does. He covered it. I mean.
Yes, I did. He played with big glasses on, I think. Who does that? To your point, the Heat is judged by the standard the Heat set for itself. Okay, so I don't, you can credit the past 5 years, but they haven't won a championship since LeBron left. And it's been more than 10 years now, or about 10 years. And that's the standard they have to live up to.
Do you think Heat fans, they don't appreciate the run the Heat have been on? Because I will tell you, as a Knicks fan, I am jealous of the Heat. I am jealous of that entire organization.
I believe there's a spoiled entitlement into what Heat fans think they deserve that doesn't take inventory of how hard it is to be as relevant as they've been this century.
But it's created by them. Like,
Yes.
It's Pat Riley going in, look at my rings, I'm going to get you one of these, and then you don't get the free agent and you don't get the rings. It's championship culture, it's Heat culture, it's look at the banners, we have this championship thing. They are the ones that set this narrative up to have people say, you know what, you've fallen short of the narrative that you told us. So it's not crazy to be like, you guys haven't lived up to the expectations you set for yourselves and told us you were going to deliver on.
But in part, that's what I'm jealous of as a Knicks fan, that they've set the bar so high that it's championship every single season.
Well, my point isn't even
and
that
the Knicks get happy to get to the Eastern Conference semifinals and lose.
That was ridiculous coverage. You were acting like it was like the end of some great run. It was a funeral. It was the end of someone's career. They were giving standing ovations. Like, your team choked, okay?
Oh, I know.
You guys
I know.
had this,
I'm aware.
and you choked, and you were embarrassed on your home court.
I was.
And you're giving them a standing ovation when, in reality, they deserve to be booed off the court for that performance.
Especially Brunson.
That was loser mentality by those fans saying, we're so proud, we're so happy. No, you guys got punked. This was embarrassing. You should boo them and demand change immediately.
Right. Did you hear Sam Morrill yesterday?
Oh,
he
God,
sounded
no.
like a punk. Salute to Sam. I love you.
Salute to Sam. Talk to you next year, hopefully.
What a great tool.
You say that they created these standards. They didn't do it by speaking them into existence. They won enough to create those standards.
Of
You
course,
can say all that stuff, and if you don't keep getting to the finals, if you don't keep winning the Eastern Conference or getting to the Eastern Conference finals, you don't spoil and entitle your fans. I'm sure the Patriot fans are insufferable right now. I'm sure that you can't be around Patriot fans based on what they expected Mac Jones to be. Good luck with that, Mac, replacing that guy. I'm sure people will be totally reasonable about you not being Tom Brady. Same thing with the Spurs, honest to God. Popovich was about to get kicked out of there just like Belichick. Yep. In total disgrace if he doesn't get Wembanyama. They'll run you out in 2 or 3 years now.
He'd get his dream of coaching a D3 team that he could never live up to for some reason.
Chris, let's play Evan Roberts, who Stugotz wanted to, I think, either replace or be the boss of at WFAN, giving voice to exactly what Billy said. Billy is now auditioning to be a host on Stugotz's WFAT.
Yeah.
What I do not understand from a lot of Knick fans today is how you're okay. I don't understand that. I don't understand the thank yous. I don't understand the tears. I don't understand the chants. I don't understand these standing ovations that were given out yesterday. And maybe that says more about me, that I am broken as a sports fan. But when my team loses, it doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter why. When they lose and the season ends, I do not sit there and act like, well, we accomplished a lot and that was a lot of fun. I don't understand that. The facts are the New York Knicks got eliminated in the second round of the postseason. The same place they got eliminated 1 year ago. Facts. The facts are they had a lead in Game 3 with a 2-0 series lead and they blew it. Facts. The facts are they got blown out in a Game 7 at home. Facts. And here are the other facts. Yes, the Knicks were ravaged by injuries. I don't deny that. That doesn't make me feel better. It never did, and it never will. So what I don't understand about my fellow New Yorkers is what happened to you. Why are we celebrating? Why are we happy? Why are we smiling? Why are we saying thank you? Do I have to be the voice of reason? I'd be pissed. No. I'd be angry, and I'd be devastated that my season ended.
I can't believe he spent nearly 3 minutes doing that and not taking calls. I mean, it's a terrible job.
That's why you would have fired him, right? How do you come by the entitled standard when you've never done any actual winning? Like, that's doing something right there.
Our next guest falls under the category of most likely to get hit in the balls for money. It's a classic interview with the top dog of Jackass himself, Johnny Knoxville. It's brought to you by the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
I read an interview with you. I was stunned that you thought it was wisdom, the form of wisdom. Your therapist say, first of all, I was amazed that you were in therapy, but then beyond that, that you thought it wise that your therapist said, Johnny, think before you act. Like, and that you thought that how is it possible?
That's a fortune cookie, Johnny.
Yeah, how is it possible that you had not considered that before?
That's how far gone I was, that concept did not even occur to me. I was like, that's brilliant.
Well, I'm reading also that you suffered a lot of different injuries while filming Action Point. It's in theaters this Friday. You want to just give us the short list?
The 4 concussions, broke my hand, busted my meniscus, whiplash stitches, lost a few teeth, broke the ethmoid lamina bone in my face, which caused 2 blowout fractures of my left eye.
When I read about the left eye, it was a little more than that. Yeah, we're recoiling. Yeah. We're recoiling. That silence you heard was was fear, and but even, I thought you were going to keep going with the eye because it gets worse, right?
Well, that's the blowout fracture. Yeah, it was when I went back to the hotel. I had a little blood in my nose from the emergency room and the concussion that I just received doing the stunt. And when I blew my nose, my left eye popped out of its socket, and I had to go back to the emergency room.
And what do you think in those moments, Johnny?
In those moments, you don't think, you just act. I saw my eye pop out, and I was terrified, and I popped it back in and went back to the hospital.
What do you
You're
mean
not expecting that when you blow your nose, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean you popped it back in? Like, take us through that. What do you mean you popped it back in? You picked it up off the floor, popped it back in?
No, it doesn't come. It didn't.
No, it wasn't hanging. I thought if I would have kept blowing my nose, I would have pushed it all the way out because what had happened, unbeknownst to me, I had powdered my bone in my face, so I was blowing air behind my eye when I blew and blowing it out of its socket, and it went way past Marty Feldman, and then I popped it back in.
What would you say is the greatest pain you've known in one of these injuries that you've suffered because you're a crazy person?
I don't know. Like, the concussion sometimes can linger and hurt, and I've gotten some pretty bad ones, especially after the butterbean thing. I even had vertigo after that. The most pain is probably something like pepper spray, because if you get a concussion, you usually get knocked out, and then, you're a little sore and dizzy afterwards. But the pepper spray is like 30 minutes of fire in your eyes, and it is the worst.
You're not fearless, though, right? There is fear, right?
Oh, no, I'm not fearless, but I can override whatever fear's there.
What's the
that's probably not so healthy.
What fear? Yeah.
What is the greatest fear you've known? What is the worst that you've felt before partaking in something where you were like, this is the most dangerous and the most fear that I can overtake?
Mostly I just get scared for my kids, honestly. But me, I can control the fear in me.
How often will someone in your family tell you stop?
My family has been over the stunts. I realized that from the beginning. When I first showed my sister the tape of me testing self-defense equipment on myself back in '98, I thought she was going to love it, and she didn't like it at all. And I understand. So my family's over it.
What was the vertigo like, right? It was Butterbean. You allowed him to punch you?
We went into a swap meet and had a boxing match. So when he knocked me out on my feet, but So I went, you see my body go limp, and I just fall over like a tree being fell and hit my head on the concrete floor, and it just busts open like a melon. And in the video, it seems like I'm snoring, but my doctor told me I was trying to swallow my tongue.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay, that's the perfect dismount.
Think before you act.
No, that's the perfect dismount right there. Boom. Action Point is in theaters this Friday. It sounded like I was snoring. That needs to be on the movie poster. It sounded like I was snoring, but my doctor said I was trying to swallow my tongue. Thank you, Johnny, for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, they hadn't made a conference final since 2004. And down 20 in the second half, it looked bleak. But they dug deep. Because to be the champs, you have to beat the champs. And beat the champs they did. On their home court. Alex Rodriguez, courtside. The best young player in the game, Jaden McDaniels. We still don't know if they won the Rudy Gobert trade, but make no mistake about it. One thing we do know is that the Timberwolves are back.
Congratulations, Timberwolves.
Did they ever arrive?
If you're back, put it on the poll, Guillermo. If you're back, does it mean you've arrived?
I think the highest compliment you can give TJ McConnell is that every New Yorker wishes they could punch him in the face.
It's annoying to lose that way.
It is.
To that guy.
Dan, I was wrong about Alec Burks. He can give you 25 on any given night. How about that?
You're going to take a victory lap over your Knicks, are you?
Yeah.
So they're all doing.
You got something right.
The Pacers shooting 67% and scoring 130 points in a Game 7 will keep Tom Thibodeau up for months. You think he slept since that game?
I have in front of me right now the exact Thibodeau game plan. This is from They Not Like Us. Number 1, Tibbs changes the culture. Players embrace hard working. 2, players perform beyond expectations. 3, a star is born and brought over. 4, expectations form. 5, a deep playoff run is expected. 6, freak injuries. 7, fans defend Tibbs hard. 8, players aren't the same the next year. 9, fans turn on Tibbs. 10, he's fired.
WFAN. Who sent that? Sal Licata?
They Not Like Us.
Oh, got it. Congratulations to the 2024 PGA Championship winner, Jeff Darlington. He won't say it, so I'll say it for him. Jeff Darlington was happy that Scotty Scheffler was arrested.
Wow, allegedly.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Was Jeff Darlington happy that Scheffler was arrested?
Edwin Diaz. A lot less cool when you have a 5.50 ERA. Here's an idea. No music, no entrance. Just walk to the mound quietly and put the nail in the coffin. Sound good?
He's been bad.
5.5 ERA. He's a closer.
It's only 5.5 because he started okay. Like lately, it's been above 10.
Yeah. He stinks.
My team broke him. He cried.
You said your team was the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
They won one. One straight.
No,
yes.
they won like 5 or 6.
Yeah, 6 of 8.
There you go.
The hottest
Even
team in
better.
baseball.
Go Fish.
There are 5 teams that have won 4 straight.
I mean, they've won 6 of 8, and you said they've won 1.
1 straight. 1 in a row.
What do you think of me giving you that scent and having a daily Marlins penny for your thought segment, where you get a bit
Brad
of
Penny.
where you
like
get
that.
A Brad
piece
Penny for your thoughts.
like a piece of memorabilia in exchange for your crappy Marlins thoughts?
I think the audience would hate it, but I'd get a bunch of crap, I guess, that I'd like.
LeBron James, did you see the way they treated Isaiah Hartenstein? Imagine how they'll treat you. Seriously, Dan, he's got to go there. The Knicks have to trade for that pick. They have 3 picks in the first round.
You didn't want him.
Well, now I do. That was then.
2 weeks ago, y'all don't even want LeBron. Now
That was
y'all-
then. This is now.
It's a good fit.
A lot has changed.
Right, Juju.
What if he hires J.J. Redick in L.A. and then leaves?
Wow.
Well, better to get Bronny drafted in Cleveland, J.J. Redick hired with the Lakers, and then goes to the Knicks.
Oh.
Get Shabazz Napier another job in Miami.
The Red Sox are a game under, but 8-0 this year on Sundays. Every given Sunday. The Lord's Day. I love a good Sunday, Dano.
Abby does not.
No, she hates Sundays. OKC, the rare 1 seed that still feels like they're a couple of years away from contending. Chet Holmgren, you're 7-1 and grabbed 3 more rebounds than I did over the weekend. Here's an idea. Less annoying commercials and more time in the weight room. Sound good?
Wow. Put it on the poll, Juju. Hey, Chet Holmgren, fewer annoying commercials, more time in the weight room. Yes or no? One word.
What a pro needs.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Sound good?
Yes.
Sound good? Yes. All one word.
Arsenal finished second in the Premier League for a record 8th time. You know what the A in Arsenal stands for, Dan?
I do not.
Always the bridesmaid.
Wow.
Never the bride. Hey, 8 times. It's worse than the Bills.
That's pretty bad.
The I in Indiana stands for I don't think the Pacers missed a damn shot. Jesus. Alec Burks needed more help. Dan, little game of fill in the blank. Congratulations to Minnesota Timberwolves coach blank for making it to the conference finals.
Finch, you know this.
Really?
You know this. Come
Wow.
on. Come on, Stugotz.
You are good.
Come on,
Just checking. I was
Stugotz.
making sure you
Come
knew. I knew. I
on.
was making sure you knew. That's all.
Him going out there on crutches. It's so good.
Nuggets fans, when your team loses 3 or 4 at home, maybe you have to ask yourself in the mirror, look at yourself and ask yourself, what more can you do?
They lost 1 game at home last year, right, during the playoffs?
Yeah.
1?
Yeah.
They lost 3 in that series?
It's on the fans. 3 times as many. Stats. New York Knicks. Live by the Willis Reed moment. Die by the Willis Reed moment. Knicks Pacers. The rare series that finished on the same day it started. Weird. Can't believe how lucky Knicks fans were over the weekend. Losing a closeout Game 6 on the road to force a decisive Game 7 at home. Dan, are you on drugs? You know what the D in Dan stands for?
Drugs.
Wow.
Dan?
Good one. Good one.
Are you?
Dan, are you on drugs? Yeah.
No response.
Observations. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay.
What happened?
I'm a little slow from the drug.
You want to admit something?
No, just my drug use. For wanting Game 7s if you have a good team at home. My dumbest take.
Who wants a Game 7?
Nobody
when you
wants
have
to
a
get. That's right. Nobody wants
Close
a Game
out in
7.
6.
You have total confidence in your team, except if you're at home in a Game 7 and they're better. Then you don't.
I had no confidence. Observations had the Knicks won. The M in Mecca stands for Mr. Game 7. Congratulations to the Mecca for advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You dared to write those jokes. You
Before
thought
the game.
You are the reason they lost because you had a comedy routine to do in the event that they won.
I work ahead, Dano. You know me. The Mecca. Best 2 words in sports. It's taken almost 9 years, but congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns for finally playing like a number 1 pick.
Has it been 9 years? That's
9 years.
No, really?
9 years. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
He's been in the league 9 years? No,
Yeah.
you're including Kentucky there, are you not?
Look it up.
No way he's been in the NBA for 9 years. That's not possible. There's no way that's true.
I hope it's
How
true.
could you keep saying 9 years again and again when there's no way that's true?
I mean, Taylor wrote it.
You don't write your own observations?
I write most of them. Taylor, he throws in a few. I take them out. They're usually about the Yankees and North Carolina.
There's no
That's
way.
why you never hear them.
9 years.
9 years.
Can't be right.
Yeah,
Apologize to Taylor.
His rookie season was 15-16.
How about that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Calipari.
I still think of him as a young player.
In fairness.
Yu Darvish with a 2.08 ERA at age 37. Some would say he found the fountain of youth.
Good.
See what I did there, Dan?
Took me a minute to catch up to
See
that.
what
That's
Taylor
good.
did there?
Excellent.
I thought the most.
His name's you, Dan.
Yeah, you, Darvish. Youth. Fountain of youth. It's tough, that sound.
It is. Yeah.
When you isolate it, not that tough, I guess.
One of the easier sounds, I'd say.
You
It
probably
is.
just
You're
go
right, yeah.
Fountain of
I
You
had
and
to work it out
not
first.
worry with the TH.
Yeah, good point, Craig.
Yeah.
I thought the most impressive day in sports history was when Deion Sanders played in an NFL game and a Major League Baseball game on the same day. That was until Scotty Scheffler got arrested, went to prison, got out, and fired a 66 at the second round of the PGA Championship. That's impressive.
Yeah. Prison is where you had him.
Have a day.
Good of my homies, free y'all, man.
Dan, close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. Now imagine the same exact situation, but Scotty Scheffler is black. The B in Bryson DeChambeau stands for balls. The S in Xander Schauffele stands for stones. Back to that scenario for a second I created. Dan, you can keep your eyes open. Jeff Darlington, still very white.
Yes.
I'm just letting you know. Be clear. The 4-iron on 18 with 2 feet in the sand, ball above his feet, is one of the greatest golf shots of all time that we'll never talk about. It was amazing on a par 5 to pull that out, needing a birdie.
Do you agree, Greg?
I didn't see it.
Didn't see that shot.
So why are we talking about it? Because it's Schauffele?
Yes. No one cares. Poor guy. He's joining us tomorrow, by the way.
You can ask him tomorrow. Is that one of the greatest shots ever that no one cares about?
He knows it is. Trust me. He knows how hard that shot is. Dan, both feet were in the sand.
He'd be bothered.
I'm telling
that
you,
no
if
one
you
cares
tried that
about
shot
it.
10 times, you would not advance it 100 yards. You. Or me. Greg would, though.
Or Darvish.
Yeah. I could do it.
Fountain of youth. Kevin Spacey was interviewed by Chris Cuomo over the weekend. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan? It means a couple of canceled guys were cutting it up. James Dolan, your Mecca is not MSG. It's the Sphere. The S in Sphere stands for shrooms. The P stands for psychedelics. The H stands for holy shit. The E stands for ecstasy. The R stands for reefer. The other E stands for every 2 weeks, I'm going back. Every 2 weeks.
We haven't
this
talked
week
to
off,
you.
next week back.
We haven't talked to you about what it was. We haven't mined all of your drug use this weekend.
Holy shit, that's what it was.
It's terrible music.
What?
I said it.
What?
I said it. You need the drugs. It doesn't work without the drugs.
It works fine without the drugs.
You need the drugs.
I'm 2 seconds from sending your ass to the penalty box, Dan. Tighten up.
You need drugs to enjoy the music. It's not good music without the drugs.
Are you saying any music or that
No,
music?
Your music.
No.
That music that you go to Vegas to enjoy.
No drugs required. Although I've never listened to them when I'm not on drugs.
Because it's not any good when you're not on drugs.
Touche.
Something to ponder. Sitting in the 200 or 300 level atmosphere on mushrooms and trying to stand up. The most dangerous of games. Be careful, man. Chris Kreider with a third period Hattie. Cementing his place in Rangers history. Crides. That was a game that gets you in the rafters. It does. He could do nothing else the remainder of his career. That jersey is headed straight up to the rafters. I'm telling you right now.
You New York fans love the second round, don't y'all?
I don't even like the Rangers, man. I mean, Miles McBride took a deuce all over the Mecca. That was good. You know what the B in Brunson stands for, Dan? Ben Shepherd, you are not.
Oh, broken is what I thought you were going to go with.
On behalf of all Knicks fans, our apologies for making you watch Celtics and Pacers. If I'm being honest, though, the Knicks would have been swept by Boston. I'm being honest. The Pacers are going to get swept by Boston. Series is over. It's a wrap.
Not so fast, my friend.
I'm with you, Juju.
Panthers, Rangers, heavyweight fight. It is. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Are there a lot of people telling you that it's not a heavyweight fight?
Yeah, they're disrespecting the Panthers.
They're coming up to you.
If it was
saying
Rangers
it's not
Flyers,
a
it would be a heavyweight fight. But Rangers Panthers, the Panthers don't seem deserving to many fans outside of this market. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying on WFAN.
I think people that watch hockey respect the Panthers.
No, they don't.
They do.
Hockey in Florida, they do not respect. I'm telling you. Canada and East Coast.
The casual fan does not. The people who have been watching hockey this year, it's not up for dispute. But if it were Panthers Flyers, it would also be flight. You have it the right way. It wouldn't just be. It would be flight with the Flyers.
Thank you. PJ Washington has more playoff wins in Dallas than the Hornets have since 2001. All of a sudden, Kyrie Irving is a leader. Not buying it. Coach K said tap the brakes on comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan. Wise man. He knows. You know what the K in Coach K stands for, Dan? Knows. Hey, look at you. Something Michael Jordan would never do. Goes 6 of 24 to Game 7. Jesus. Scotty Scheffler, the rare golfer that goes from a green jacket to an orange jumpsuit. If Scotty Scheffler knew what was good for him, he'd make orange his Sunday color. Dan, since you said horse racing isn't dead, can you name the horse who won the Preakness over the weekend?
Oh, no, I wasn't paying
Because
any
it's
attention.
dead. Yeah.
The horse?
No, the horse is still alive.
Oh,
the sport is dead.
thank
Yeah. Nikola Jokic, too bad. I was about to start calling you NJ. So close.
So close. He almost got to be called NJ.
Wherever and whenever a major golf tournament is being played, you know what you'll find? You'll find Justin Rose lurking. Top 5 golfers who love to lurk at a major. OLI. Lee Westwood. Ian Poulter. Number 5. Patrick Cantlay. Number 4, Will Zalatoris. Number 3,
He's run out of music again. He's run out of music because it's too long.
Well,
I'm resetting it. It'll be back in a second.
Tuesday. Number 3, Victor Hovland. Number 2, Tommy Fleetwood. Number 1, Colin Montgomery. Monty. Playing blackjack on mushrooms. Dangerous game. Great job by Nora O'Donnell, who had a 1-hour sit-down with the Pope. That's a big get, considering Francesa hasn't done a lot of that since he retired. Jeff Darlington played it all wrong. He should have turned into some sort of crusader and gotten arrested with Scotty Scheffler. Darlington, you put yourself in the cell with Scotty Scheffler.
Boom.
Jeff Darlington, what people in our industry wouldn't give to be in the right place at the right time. I would have parlayed this into being the next Bob Lee. You know what the J at Jeff Darlington stands for?
I don't.
Unfortunately, it stands for Jeff Darlington. You know what the J at Jeff Darlington could have stood for? Jeff Darlington, host of the ABC National News in 2020. The D in Darlington could have stood for David Muir. Big mistake. Top 5 people in sports media who would have done the right thing with this story and made it all about themselves. Number 5, Pat McAfee. Number 4, Stephen A. Smith. Number 3, Greg Cody.
Yeah.
Number 2, Mike Francesa. Number 1, me. The guy playing multiple slot machines at once. Go to hell. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
You mentioned Kevin Spacey, and Liam Neeson has decided late in life to be the person who defends the indefensible. And Liam Neeson has said that the film industry needs Spacey, misses Spacey, that he's a good man and he's a man of character.
No.
If you have not seen the Spacey documentary on HBO, I would suggest it to you. It is revealing in a way that you might not have had access to on how it is that people can feel powerless, even if they're straight Marines, in the face of someone abusing power to make them feel helpless. Stugotz, I wanted to ask you about the Darlington thing because I think Greg Cody would agree with you. Darlington, we asked Jeff to come on the show with us yesterday, and he's usually very available to us, but he said he wanted the reporting to speak for itself. He did not want to bring attention to the fact that he happened to be there videoing when Scheffler was arrested. Man. And he is staying out of the story in a way that Greg Cody and Stugotz never would. If they had that footage, they would be roaming the earth on tour. They would not.
I would have been in a cell with him. I told you.
Yeah, you would have pretended to be a freedom fighter on behalf of running over a police officer at a scene where someone's dead. You would have been the face of that, freedom fighting for, I have to fight for the white strength of country club privilege that comes with, he shouldn't be in jail stretching, he should be on the first tee.
They would have turned the camera on themselves. This is an injustice. Look at us.
Yes.
Lock me up.
But if you're there the entire time, you're in the cop car with them, you're in the cell with them, that's reported.
They don't just let people in cop cars with people. Like, hey, I'd like to go in the cop car, please.
Paddy wagon, something like that? I don't know.
Paddy wagon. My first question of Jeff Darlington would be, the hell were you doing out there at 5 a.m.?
His job?
At 5 a.m., what, he anticipated Scheffler would be arrested?
No, there was a van full of 4 ESPN talents that were all getting there at the same time. There was an additional report where an ESPN reporter talked to Bob Wischusen, who was also in the van, and he was also a witness to what happened up into a point until then Darlington continued to follow Scheffler to figure out what was going on, which I think we should honestly, in all earnestness, commend him for, because that's the kind of situation that he probably hasn't been in very often, covering golf events where suddenly the #1 golfer in the world is being arrested in front of your eyes, and he kept a very clear head, immediately took out his phone and started videotaping it, which I thought was very, it was thinking on your feet very quickly, which I think a lot of other people maybe would have gotten frazzled and not done such a good job.
Scotty Scheffler at one point turned to Jeff Darlington and said, "Can you help me?" I would have offered help before he even asked that question.
I'm on my way, Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty, I got you.
Get your hands off of Scotty.
Get your hands
He's
off
the #1 golfer in the world. If you take him, you're going to have to take me too, god dang it.
If he goes, I go. And then you become Scheffler's guy for the remainder of time.
And then Wischusen gets in, he's like, if he goes, I go. And then all of a sudden, everyone's going.
In all seriousness, though, if the Louisville state attorney elects to prosecute this case, Jeff Darlington is going to be like the main witness.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be very interesting.
I still want for you guys to absorb. Just imagine the number of improbable scenarios that have Stugotz sober and working and trying at 5 a.m. Now make it the #1 golfer in the world is pleading, help me, in the general direction of Stugotz. Stugotz will have emptied his bank accounts by the end of the day and made sure that he has taken 84% of Scheffler's earnings before he's out of jail.
And I'm his guy.
Were you guys watching live as it was all unfolding? Because my favorite part of that situation was Marty Smith was at the golf club when he arrived. So they went live to Marty to check in with him. Marty, what's happening? We see that Scotty's there. What's going on? And he's like, he was walking in, and I asked him, Scotty, any comment on what happened this morning? And he just said, Marty, I love you. And then he kept walking in. And that was that report. He did great reporting the rest of the day, but that was my favorite report of the day.
No, but this is exactly what Stugotz would have done. Scotty Scheffler's getting arrested, and Stugotz just gives a, sorry, buddy.
If it was us, Danny B would have been there telling Stugotz, because Stugotz would have still been at the hotel. Like, hey, I just saw Scotty
Get over
Scheffler.
here, Scotty. He's about to get arrested.
What would have happened is that entire thing would have happened. Stugotz would have had his flashlight on his phone on, not known how to do the camera, and just said, love you, buddy. And the news would have escaped him. Not unlike Donald Trump has figured out that if you just inundate the news stream with all manner of shame, we can't keep up with it all, and your shamelessness will be able to win. Stugotz has figured out how it is to bombard our show and all its producers with so much information in real time that we can't keep up with the game of whack-a-mole. So he said recently that Michael Jordan would never lose 2 home games in a row in the playoffs, and then we looked it up and found out that he had. And he also said that Michael Jordan would never go 6 for 24 in a playoff game, but against the Pacers he did go 9 for 25 in a playoff game. But it doesn't matter, because in Stugotz's memory, Michael Jordan shot 100% from the field in his career, and so we've sent him off to jail, where he is presently sitting with the giant head of Scotty Scheffler, 5 or 6 times the size of
terrifying, honestly.
Stugotz's head. Stugotz, what are you doing in there with the jail cell with Scotty Scheffler?
Well, Dan, Scotty turned to me. He asked, "Hey, can you help me out?" And I said, "I can help you out. If you go, I go." And so I am now currently in a prison cell with Scotty Scheffler. He should have been arrested for the size of his head. He wasn't. But I am going to get Scotty Scheffler out of here in no time for the right amount of money. Okay?
He's just closer to the camera, guys. It's a perspective thing.
Yeah.
It's not a prison, it's a jail, Stugotz. Those two things are different.
Are they?
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do you know the difference between a prison and a jail?
Do you know the difference of 6 of 24 and 9 of 27? I'm wondering, just out of curiosity.
It was 9 of 25.
Oh, even better for Michael. How about that?
That's a clean cell.
By the way, Dan, Scotty can't talk. He's very upset about this. He has to get to the second round of the PGA. There was no reason he should have been arrested, so you won't be hearing from Scotty Scheffler, okay?
Okay, so you are acting as his attorney in jail, his accomplice?
His friend, Dan. His friend who would do anything for Scotty Scheffler. You know what I'm talking about, Scotty?
All right, go ahead and give us the backstory there, because I do think it's interesting, Greg. How look at me would you have been if you had been the only reporter with video access to that news story? How available, how quickly would you have hired a publicist, a publicity team, and how available would you have immediately become to the American media?
I mean, I would have, I'd have T-shirts in my merch store of me at 5 a.m. wearing a miner's helmet with a light on it. I would be doing every single show imaginable. I would have done a live Greg Cody Show podcast episode live at 4:30 in the morning. Would have done it all, man. You got to take advantage. Look at Scheffler, he never blinks. You have to take advantage of a situation like that. Darlington, I feel like, left the ball on the ground. Although if this thing does go to trial and Scheffler is prosecuted, key witness, eyewitness, Jeff Darlington.
Jessica, do you think that Darlington buys himself anything in hiding from the look at me of this? We asked him to come on, and the only reason we wanted him on was just to talk about how surreal it was to be him that day and get caught up in that storm, and he wants the work to speak for itself.
I feel like he's doing the thing from the newsroom where he's like, I reported the news. You know? And I kind of like that for him.
Lame.
He sort of is the news, though, in a certain
I reported
respect.
the news.
Pablo can be very look at me. Pablo has a young theater kid as a kindergartner that has been pushed down his entire life. Pablo, how would you, Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast, and it is getting very popular. How would you have handled the entire Scheffler situation if you were the only reporter who had video of that? Would you have been a news hound, or would you have been, look at me, I want to do the publicity tour for being the news?
Well, I think Jeff Darlington did what a journalist should do. When you're presented with a situation where you're right behind, in the car behind, and you get out and you tape, and you have the only camera footage that you have because the body cam was off. Why is this a controversy? Wait, who's objecting to his instinct there? Is it because he's not doing interviews about this?
Well, Greg,
answer the question, Pablo. You didn't answer the question. Great deflection. What would you have done, brother?
What would you have done?
I would have done that, and I would have tried to, when I was pushed. I mean, look, I'm not trying to do like I'm a bigger, tougher journalist than Jeff Darlington. I'm not saying that. I would have done what he would have done and tried to see how long I could stay out there to get footage. That seems like an obvious call to me.
Oh, so you would have pushed against the police and risked your own arrest.
Well, I'm not saying that a goal of mine would be to get arrested. I'm just saying Jeff Darlington was within his rights to be there and to do that. right? Like,
Pablo.
What?
The look at me reporter. Yes, he was within his rights. Absolutely. We're marveling at his restraint, at his not wanting to be the story. Greg and Stugotz would have wanted to just be closer to everything that was happening there. And Stugotz has now created the scenario where he ends up in jail with Scheffler as a freedom fighter.
A crusader, Dan.
Pablo, let's check in now with Stugotz here so he can give you his position, because you've dropped the ball. With time to think about it, you failed here, Pablo, to get maximum attention for Pablo.
I'm disappointed. I'm seeing what Stugotz is doing here, and I am learning from the master. Yeah,
Listen, the game is going to pass you by, Pablo, okay? It's not about the news. It's not about journalism. It's about you. It's about your brand. And what you do in that spot is you do what I did. You get arrested with Scotty Scheffler. You go to prison with Scotty Scheffler. That's reporting. That's journalism. That's look at me, Louie. That's what journalism has turned into these days. Darlington squandered an opportunity. I'm sitting here. I have the keys to the cell, okay? Oh, my God. This is great. I'm getting Scheffler out, and me and Scheffler are going to be buddies for life. 80-20 my way. Keys to the cell. You like that, Dan?
You're still making it prison. It's not prison. He was stretching in jail. You don't want to be doing that in prison.
Stugotz has him and Scotty Scheffler doing the Shawshank Redemption thing together.
Yes.
He has them escaping together.
Yes.
The other part of this is you going to be in jail the rest of the day. Scotty going to be out in an hour.
That's what you do for a friend, Juju. That's what you do to make, and then the story becomes all about you. Because you are left alone in prison, and Scheffler, hopefully after he fires a 66, second-round PGA, comes to get you out.
Stugotz,
that's a story. That's how you do it, right, Scotty?
You're only getting the second best lawyer in Louisville if this happens to you. You know that, right?
Doesn't matter. I don't need an attorney. The longer I sit in jail, prison, whatever Dan wants to call it, the better for me. The longer I sit there and people are talking about, oh, my God, Stugotz, he did something nice for Scotty Scheffler. Can you believe 14 days later, he is still sitting in jail?
You guys don't understand.
Oh, what a story.
Yes, he would go on a hunger strike in jail. They'd be trying to let him out. They'd open the doors, and he's like, no, I'm staying here imprisoned in the attention.
Stugotz, you can go now. No, I don't want to go. I'm going to make this my home for a couple of weeks. Why? Because that makes me even bigger than I already am. How about that? You can let Scotty go. Keep me in here for a month for all I care. 3 squares, Dan.
Stugotz would reveal to the police from inside of the jail cell that he had marijuana vape cartridges on him.
Yes.
You would do the reverse grinder just to stay in there for as long as possible.
You should check out my house. I mean,
do you think jail's a hotel you just come and go as you please to?
I'm not saying it's comfortable, but, Billy, when I get out in 30 days, oh, my God, I'm going to replace David Muir on 2020. How about that? Seriously, am I wrong, Dan?
Yes, just morally and in general, you are wrong, but you are right.
Pablo, I put myself in the cell with Scotty Scheffler. That's journalism, my friend.
That's not.
BFFs for life as well after that.
Are you taking journalism classes while you're in prison?
No. I am reading a book, Stugotz's personal record book. You can check it out here. That's what we do in prison, Dan. We have time.
Letters from a Louisville jail.
Yes.
Stugotz goes Martin Luther King.
We like to read in jail. Yeah. StugottsBook.com. Check it out. My personal record book. Scotty, I'll sign one for you. Yeah.
We will check back in with Stugotz in jail in a moment.
Scotty?
But he does have this right. He could. Jeff Darlington blew a glorious chance at doing everything Stephen A. Smith did to capitalize on a Sunday.
Thank you.
In terms of brand management, Jeff Darlington.
Stugotz tunnel walking with cameras around him into jail. Yes. Selfie stick.
Now, how about that, brothers?
I want you to imagine Scheffler on a boat somewhere cleaning it up, and Stugotz walking up like Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption because they're lifelong. He and Red are lifelong buddies. Stugotz would have absolutely parlayed that into a heavenly buffet of what can I get from the #1 golfer in the world. Look at him.
You're so right.
The irony of Stugotz being the one who ends up in a First Amendment lawsuit with a police department and not you, Dan, for reporting the news would be, I think, I don't know, that would be great, right? That'd be hilarious.
It is appropriate that Stugotz becomes the Edward Snowden of sports media because he wants to be in jail with Scotty Scheffler.
I don't know who that is, but I agree with you, Pablo. I mean, Snowden, genius, this guy.
Darlington, You're a fool.
Thank you.
You are holding on to an antiquated set of journalistic ideals. You should.
I don't want to be the story. What are you, a moron? Oh, my God. You're a bigger moron than Scotty. You should be arrested for being a moron. I love you, Jeff.
Stugotz definitely thinks Edward Snowden is like another golfer, right?
that just walked out of jail. Yeah, he's doing whatever he wants freely.
Just missed the cut on Sunday. Edward Snowden.
It's unfortunate. Do it in a major.
Pablo, what is on Pablo Torre Finds Out? Where are you following your curiosities in this episode?
Oh, today is the most journalistic investigation we've ever done, Dan. It is me and Mina Kimes and David Dennis Jr. watching all of X-Men 97 and talking about it. So I don't know if anybody here had the childhoods that we had. We've been waiting 30 years to talk about a cartoon. We talked about the cartoon. It's the horniest cartoon I've ever seen, and it made me very happy to talk about all of it.
Everyone I have heard talk about it, I don't know whether it's tapping into nostalgia, childhood, or what, they say it is exceptionally well done, well written, and that it's a piece of art worth, not just if you're channeling it through the filter of childhood, but a modern day piece of art independent of that.
It's tremendous. And I just want to ask Greg, personally, can you attempt to give us a summary of what you think X-Men 97 is about? What do you imagine this show is?
I'm not a big superhero cartoon kind of guy.
Good start.
I mean, X-Men, I assume, is a group of 5 superheroes all trying to outdo each other. I have no idea.
I like really it as 5 former men.
That's right.
Okay, what is it? It's a cartoon, right?
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, Greg, about mutant powers and superheroes. That's sort of an analogy for civil rights in America and so forth and so on. But I want you to actually can you give us the names of what you think these superheroes, the 5 superheroes, what are their names, do you imagine?
The Avenger.
Great.
Green Lantern. Incredible Hulk.
Okay, you're just plagiarizing actual superhero names.
Batman. And Godzilla. How many did I get right?
Please make a T-shirt.
It's a good list.
That is all of those things as
that.
X-Men.
Yes,
See?
Yes,
watch that.
That's merch.
That's what you should be doing your show about. My 5 guys. Did
So,
I get
by
any
the
right?
way,
Did I get any right? I'm just curious.
You could not have been more wrong, but
Okay.
although Godzilla is a brilliant addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Thank you.
The multiverse should welcome in. Yeah.
I think so.
One more thing I was thinking about, Dan, was there's this story about how OpenAI is like being sued by Scarlett Johansson because they're taking her voice and they're using that to be the voice of like our, of course, future dystopia. I think Greg Cody should be the voice of OpenAI. I think there's a giant missed opportunity in not having Greg Cody be a voice option for your computer when it talks to you.
Really? Can I say anything I want?
Well,
I mean,
it would be a bunch of different things that would resemble artificial intelligence.
Oh, so I have to talk according to what I'm asked to speak about.
No, they use your voice to say whatever they want as you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I go for that.
All right, let's talk to
see.
Pablo about the serious parts of this instead of the parts about Greg Cody formulating a voice. The Scarlett Johansson story has been a story here for a couple of years that I don't believe is being covered very well because she's rightfully pissed off about things that are being taken from her that are supposed to be hers in a changing technological world. What are the areas of this story that are most illuminating to you?
I think it's just how on the nose it is because it's all based on the fact that Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, I think OpenAI is an incredibly impressive company that is almost less untrustworthy as a super villainous concept, like they're trying to kill everybody on the planet. I don't think they're trying to do that. I think what they're just doing is clumsily trying to sell people products. I think capitalism is a story of artificial intelligence. And so there's this movie called Her, in which Scarlett Johansson her voice plays the voice of the sentient general intelligence robot AI. And what Sam Altman did was essentially say to himself, that movie's cool. I want that to be real life artificial intelligence. And it just leaves me not trusting him on the level of business. Like, it's so clumsy. The idea that you're using the apocalyptic movie voice to be the real life voice of the thing you're making in reality, it feels just deeply disconnected. It's sort of like how people watch movies and they don't know who the villains are. And I think Sam Altman is realizing, or maybe he's only now realizing, how on the nose it is for them to inhabit a fictional world in which AI is a nightmare, and then try to sell that to people under the guise of, man, this is awesome, isn't it?
But the problem, right, is that they asked her to use her voice, and then she's saying that she said no, and then when the voice came out yesterday, it sounded exactly like her, and so she's now suing them over that. And then I think he also had a tweet a month or so ago, or maybe a couple years ago, I'm not sure, where he tweeted her, like the name of the movie. So I think is that not what the lawsuit's about?
Yes. So what's happened is that Scarlett Johansson said, no, I don't want to do that. And they basically have the powers to, as they do, simulate anyone's voice. And so I think they're claiming that they hired a voice actress who is not Scarlett Johansson to do this, but they hired essentially a Scarlett Johansson impersonator. And so whether or not they simulated her voice or hired a human who sounds a lot like her, it is exactly what an AI company, the caricature of one, would do. And so, yeah, Dan, what it does is it speaks to every sort of sense that you might have as someone who creates something, that this company is not to be trusted, that they're just going to take from real people to simulate those real people and use that real person's voice against their will to create more technology to do exactly that forever.
I want to ask the group of you what you think of when you think of a movie that was way ahead of its time. I don't know if Her is ahead of its time or of its time, because there were plenty of people living in this space before I was. Obviously, I've aged out, and artificial intelligence, all of it has sort of caught me off guard. But there were plenty of people living off the grid 10 years ago when Her made an appearance. I want to ask the group to think of the movie you most associate with being ahead of its time. But what is happening with Stugotz right now, Billy? I don't understand. He is now in jail by himself. No longer. Scotty Scheffler has
out. Yeah.
Scotty has
got him out, Dan. Yeah.
Okay, so now where's this story going, Stugotz?
Well, it's going with me sitting in prison by myself because the cops came, Dan, and they said, listen, only one of you can leave. And I, of course, told Scotty, hey, you got big things to do today. Second round PGA, go win that Wanamaker trophy. I'm staying right here in this cell. I'm trying to win a bigger trophy, that Pulitzer Prize thing you're always talking about.
That is how jail works. Who wants to get out? I can get one person out of here.
Right.
Yeah, like
you do what you got to do for a friend. That's what you do. Yep.
Kevin Durant has 0 titles in my record book.
StugotzBook.com.
How about that, brothers?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys understand how many different deals Stugotz would parlay? Scotty Scheffler shouting at him like a man from the bottom of a well, help me! Can you help me? Like, can you imagine Stugotz just waddling into a heroic arrest?
You have no idea, buddy.
Scotty, I can help you, but can you help me?
If Stugotz can get his phone working to video and not just turn his flashlight on and run into the woods.
It'd be a selfie of him watching Scotty get arrested.
That's what you did. That's what Darlington should have done. I mean, what's the matter with
He would have made it a cameo. Stugotz would have it would have been, if there could be body cam footage but a cameo, Stugotz would have recorded it. Yes.
And Blade Runner.
Yep. Dan, I've asked the officers here, how long can I stay? They're not telling me. I've asked, I want to stay as long as I can. Hopefully you'll come get me out one day, Dan. You probably won't. Scotty will, though, after he wins the PGA or finishes in the top 5. But I asked the cops. They said, listen, it could be a while, processing, all this stuff, everything. I said, listen, I'm in no rush. I'll stay here for as long as I can. How about that?
All right.
I'm offering to stay in prison.
All right. I think the bid is over. Come back in
here.
It's
not.
Come back in here and spend some time with us and go ahead.
Serve hard time.
And imprison me in the hell I've lived in for the last 20 years. Just come right back in here and join us on the show. Pablo, before you came on, we were talking about a couple of things I wanted to get your opinion on.
Ladybugs.
What do people want from their sports coverage? It's a general question, but sports fans, we're in dramatically changing times, and it seems like every broadcast has a whole bunch of complaints about what the broadcast is. The modern age, the new sports fan of tomorrow, what do they want from their sports coverage?
I think they want their sports coverage to make them feel like the thing they're about to watch is the most important event on the world, on the globe, in the world, in the universe. I think that what NBC got right, what am I nostalgic for? I'm nostalgic for those NBC, NBA, Bob Costas essays, Dan. You remember those?
Yeah.
Where it would be him for like 2 minutes setting up the stakes that made you feel like you're about to watch a clash of civilizations. I think that's what people want, is the idea that you're about to watch something important and something special. I think when it comes to studio shows, everybody has been fooled into thinking that Inside the NBA is the model, and Inside the NBA is the best studio show in the history of studio shows, but it's also unreplicable. And so people are trying to do the thing that is impossible to do, which is copy someone else's chemistry with people who don't have it. And so I think the biggest mistake that companies like ESPN make is the idea of, we're going to give you an imitation of something as opposed to selling you the event. And I think the event is the thing that matters. As much as I want to be, a pro gas bag job creator, I think you got to focus on the event.
Didn't ESPN do that, though, on Sunday? I mean, it was, for New York, the biggest event on the globe.
I mean, I don't want to just criticize ESPN's studio coverage, but I would say that if you watched it and you watched Stephen A's tunnel walk, it was great for memes and bad for everybody else. And I think that's another tension in the world of how to broadcast games, is there are things that you can do for the internet audience, for memes, that are inherently funny. And I'm still talking about the Stephen A. tunnel walk. But to insert it into the presentation of, here is the most important game in New York City, you could argue, in 50 years, since 1973, I think that was a miscalculation. Even if it was tongue-in-cheek and funny and something that I laughed at. I think you want to play it straighter.
I got 2 words that improve every single broadcast around the nation. Bruce Buffer. You're welcome.
I thought of a show ahead of its time, not a movie, but a show. The Jetsons.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Still haven't gotten there. Flying cars.
We're getting close, though.
Robot maids.
Yeah,
A show behind its time, The Flintstones.
Yes, that's true. Different game, but
very
yes,
nice.
great point.
George
Jurassic
Jetson
Park.
was riding a copter, an
Flying
individual
car, yeah.
copter, and
a
now
spaceship, wasn't it? Wasn't it a bit of a
well,
vehicle
but
spaceship?
it was an individual though.
I think they were on Earth just floating. I don't think it was in space.
Was it? They didn't fly rocket ships around. They were driving
No.
cars.
Yeah,
they were
flying cars.
Flying cars.
Still haven't gotten there. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're close to that. You're gonna be able to Uber, but in the air within a couple of years.
That is just not true.
Put it on the poll.
No, it's
Yeah.
true.
No, it
Juju
is
at
true.
Le Batard
Yeah.
Show.
Within a
Basically,
couple
airline
years.
By the
travel.
year 2000,
Yeah.
we'll have that.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are we going to be in flying Ubers in a couple of years?
I'm reporting it. I mean, I'm not speculating. It's happening.
The salary of a sprocket, was he a sprocket salesman, a sprocket worker? What did he do for Spacely Sprockets?
It was Sprockets, yes.
Spacely
Yeah.
Sprockets.
so.
But what did he do?
He was in an ancillary division, unimportant as an employee.
Well, important enough that he was able to afford a robot maid, and he had, his
No,
flying
he
car.
was like the Lewis of sprocket makers. He was somewhere in the back.
Yeah, he was a mid-level
I think
executive.
he got laid off.
Wow, straight.
Did Lewis?
I don't think he was a mid-level executive. I believe he was more of a factory worker, a labor man quashed by management.
He wasn't dressed like a factory worker.
No, he's a mid-level exec.
White collar,
That's-
literally.
Not everybody was flying back then, but he
Mm-hmm.
was.
Pablo, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you tomorrow?